Hi, my name is Jay, and I'm here to introduce you to my brand new project, Renegade Talks. That's right, I started a podcast. Because nothing says Jay Jaster like doing something 10 years too late when the market couldn't be more saturated. I should have done it in my 20s, I didn't, so I'm doing it in my 30s. So, how does the show work? Well, the format's pretty simple. Every week, me and another artist have two easels. Our medium is chosen at random with the spin of a wheel, and I put 30 minutes on the clock. During that time, my goal is to get to know the artist, their art, their career, and their life. But I'm not interested in Wikipedia facts and small talk. My goal for the show was to allow us to talk about the things that nobody ever asks us. Every artist in their life, they've faced ups and downs. What are your sacrifices you've had to make to be where you are? Tell me about how you battle self-doubt and negativity and anxiety. All of these things that we experience sometimes daily, and yet again, nobody ever asked us. So I kept seeing all these talented people. I kept seeing all these amazing shows, waiting for somebody to do this, or for somebody to ask me these things, but they never did. So now I'm doing it. At the end of the 30 minutes, each of us will reveal the artwork that we've created. Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter, because that's not the point. The reason for the artwork is just to allow me and my fellow autists to have something to stare at while we talk. I figured it'd allow us to kind of really dive into some of these topics without the stress or the, all of this that's normally associated with an interview. So if all of this sounds interesting to you, or if you'd even like to be a part of it, please reach out. And for everybody else, thanks for sticking around. If you'd like, join me for episode 1 of Renegade Talks, starring me, Jay Jaster. Coming up right now. Hey, thanks for sticking around. My name is Jay, and I'm the host, and this is episode 1. For this first episode, I know things are going to be a little different. It's a work in progress. I'm trying my best, I promise you. But things like the microphone, the audio, maybe the space heaters picking up, the canvas, I still think I'm probably going to have some problems with the sound of the paintbrush on the board, but what are you going to do? So episode 1, it's going to be a little different. It's just me. I want to talk about myself, my art, and allow you to get to know me. If I'm expecting my guests to share their insecurities, if I expect them to share their ups and downs, I better be willing to do the same. So that's my goal today. Stay tuned. The early years. Let's begin there. Childhood, nothing too special. 90s kid, so I grew up on cartoons, Dragon Ball Z, Powerpuff Girls, Team Buttercup. If you disagree, fight me on it. Mojo Jojo all the way. So years go by and I was the typical only child. I always amused myself. I had a little childhood desk that was just completely covered in drawings, just the most random stuff you've ever seen. Stuff like that, always sketching, obsessed with hockey, so I was always drawing goalies. For whatever reason, I like the form, I like the pads. Of course, like every other mother, she's got an entire chest of some of my early stuff saved, so that's pretty cool. I might do something with that one day, who knows. All right, so now we move on to around the teenage high school years. Like a lot of you, as much as I loved creating and being artistic, I fell victim to the idea that there was no money in art. That, unless you were a super crazy successful artist, you weren't going to do anything. And enough people, obviously not parents or family, but just enough people in general told me that, or I heard it or I saw it, that I started to believe it. So in high school, I thought, okay, well, I can't be an artist. I still love art. I don't know what to do. So typical high school kid, a lot of sports, rebellion. But finally, sophomore year, I found film class. And so here was something now that I could be creative, and it was interesting, and I was decently good at it. So that's what I poured myself into. Shout out Lee 1, specifically junior year, Lakeshore High School. I was on the film crew, so we'd do the announcements. So that gave us the freedom. It was a lot of almost like self-starter mentality. You had to develop your own skits, and ours are pretty good. I will say so myself. Shout out LeBecky and everybody else. But otherwise, again, it was just that. So I thought, okay, I guess I'm going to be a filmmaker. So I settled in, did what I had to in high school, and when I got accepted to Michigan State, that's what I thought I would do. Media arts and technology. Figure filmmaking, perfect. I get to be an artist and stay creative. that didn't exactly happen that way. I got to Michigan State and I loved it. Great school, great organization, but I was naive. I wanted film, but I didn't want to be told about film. I didn't want to take film classes. I thought, what was the point of learning about something 100 years ago? Just give me a camera. I can show you what I can do if you trust me. But obviously, it's a university. There's a curriculum. Doesn't really work like that. And I found out the hard way. So a couple months in, suddenly I'm no longer interested in being a director. I want to party. So strict parents, and now I'm alone, and no one's telling me what to do. So once again, like every other trope, I rebelled. The drinking, the partying, and I had fun, but I knew it wasn't going to last. So very quickly, my time at Michigan State was coming up to an end, and I realized I had nothing to show for it. So that hurt a little bit. But I'm clever. So my only main, fear were my parents, meaning that they were the only ones I really gave a crap about having to tell that, guess what, guys? I just flunked out of Michigan State. Whoops. Sorry about that. And I was so scared that I thought, okay, again, I'm a creator. I can be creative. Why don't I make something? Well, grades come on transcripts, right? I could probably figure that out. So again, I'm not quite sure the statute of limitations on the state of Michigan. So let's say, allegedly somebody was interested in making transcripts. That person allegedly might have thought it was a fun idea. Maybe they were just so scared of their parents that they were willing to quite literally, allegedly break the law just to make it happen. And turns out I was pretty good. If I would have put any amount of effort into class that I did trying to make seals, allegedly, and stuff like that, I would have gotten all A's. But I didn't. And again, like everything else, it came crashing down. So now I'm home from Michigan State. I don't really know what to do. I decide, you know what? I want to rebel. I want to get out of here. So I moved downtown to Detroit. Shouldn't have, had no money, had no idea what I was doing, but it seemed like a good idea. And it was fun. Now I'm downtown. And I'm kind of a little disappointed. All of a sudden, the life I thought I was going to have isn't really the same. I'm watching friends continue on in college, and I'm not in college. I'm not in school. I'm just trying to work, but I don't really care about any of the jobs because I want to be an artist. But am I creating? No. Have I created? No. But I still had this internal desire just to even tell people I want to be an artist. And that's what got me in trouble. That's also what led to one of my biggest changes. So I'm going around and I'm just, again, looking for friends, looking for connection. And I happened to stumble upon a group of artists. And all of a sudden, whoa, I had thought you couldn't be an artist because I'd never seen any. And now here are living, breathing artists, a couple years older than me, some younger, but they're doing it. And what I consider doing it is they're authentic. They are just gritty, grimy artists. Everything they're doing, it's DIY. It's that rebel mentality. And I was in awe because those were all the things that I wanted, but I wasn't doing any of it. I was simply the kid that wanted to be an artist, but was making zero effort. And it got so bad that I actually started to convince myself, I am an artist, right? It's palpable. You want to be liked. You want to be a part of that group. And when you're not, it sucks. And I remember the moment that it changed. Shout out to Trey Isaac. If you watch this, buddy, you might not have realized this story, but I do because it's haunted me every day, and I've never even told anybody about it. So desperately wanted to be an artist that I remember we're at a loft party in Greektown, and everybody's hanging out in the corner. And somehow the conversation gets to me. And I say, yeah, I'm an artist. And everybody there, again, they're welcoming. They're cool people. Trey's an awesome guy. He goes, oh, hell yeah, man. What do you do? Can you show me some of your work? I panic. I go, well, yeah, of course. You know, I open my phone. I had the audacity. I remember this vividly. I pulled up some background photo, something I thought was cool, early, 2010, 2012, MySpace type stuff, and I showed it to him. And I actually said, yeah, oh, yeah, man, this is mine. Check it out. You like it? No big deal. And nobody said anything, but I remember there was a just screeching halt in my soul. I felt my stomach drop. Can you believe what I just did? I lied about somebody else's artwork just to make people think I was cool. But that's how desperate I wanted to be an artist. Those were the lengths I was willing to go to. And that night, just kind of remembering their faces and just being like, I'm a phony. Like, how much of just a fake little cowardice thing can you do than pretend to have created somebody else's artwork? It was appalling. But I used that. I thought, okay, well, I don't ever want to feel like that again. And the solution's pretty simple. I should probably just start creating art. So that's what I tried to do. But again, I didn't know anybody. So now again, downtown, trying to figure out where I belong. Always been interested in graffiti. Now, obviously, I had no place being in the graffiti world. I loved it. I had the soul of a graffiti artist. I understood the mentality. I loved the rebelliousness of it. But I was a white kid from the burbs. And especially back then with my little frosted tips, my puka shell necklace, I was an epitome of a toy. I was laughed out of just about every graffiti circle I could ever find myself in. But things prevail. So I won't name names, but finally there was a group of graffiti guys downtown. They took me under their wing and they gave me all the respect in the world, even though I deserved none of it. And now here I was again, the same feeling of, oh my God, here are people that are actually doing it. They are living the life. Every night they're out here, they're racking cans, they're doing everything you're supposed to. I want to be this, I'm not, but here's my chance. So we'd go out all the time. Now, mind you, I had no cans to rack. I was too scared. Wasn't going to steal stuff and get arrested. I didn't have any money, so I couldn't buy the cans. And again, I didn't have any experience, so I was just the little brother tagging along, but that was okay to me. But we'd go out every night, and I'd watch them hit spots. We'd pull up in vans. Everybody would get out. It was some of the coolest stuff I'd ever seen. The organization of it. And again, just the lawlessness of truly caring about something so much that you're willing to risk your freedom and your life to achieve it and to show people what you can do. That was amazing. So finally, after sticking around for weeks, I get a shot. We're going around one night and there's some extra cans laying around in the back. So I go, hey, would you mind if I grab some of those and tried something? And again, they didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I gave it a shot. So I remember we're over on Cass, it's years ago, and I had an orange fat cap and a black outline. And I remember there was this little like parapet wall almost, probably about 4.5 to 5 feet tall, little box in the middle of nowhere. And I did a orange block peace sign. Black outline, nothing too crazy, but it was about 5 feet tall. And I get back in the van, and again, I get that feeling of, oh yeah, is this what I'm missing? Is this what this life is? Couldn't be happier. That whole drive home, didn't sleep at all that night. All I wanted to do is I'm going to go back in the morning. I'm going to take a photo. And finally, I did something. It sucks, but I did something, right? Show up that morning, probably not even 6 a.m. We had been out till 3. I pull up, giant letters, one of the local guys there, 3 letters, G-A-Y, just written right across it. And again, that's their right. And it was pretty gay if you ask me, but that broke my spirit again. It was like I just wanted to do something I thought was cool, and the streets reminded me that I had no freaking business being with those guys, or at least doing what I was doing. So, tail between my legs, what am I going to do? So, now I have the bug. Still downtown. I know that, okay, the graffiti life is for me, but spray painting's not for me. I'm a little disheartened by the incident with the peace sign. So I still am hanging out with the guys, but I just need to find my own style or something that interests me. Right about that time, like a lot of people fell in love with, I finally watched Exit Through the Gift Shop. And that was one of the most revolutionary films for art, for me, that I'd ever seen. Created by Banksy, very interesting tale, Mr. Brainwash. I'm not going to ruin the ending, but great movie. But it documented, again, some of these street artists at the time of what I consider to be the apex of when kind of street art was emerging and graffiti artists were, allowing some of these guys to do their things, but it was a symbiotic relationship. And it was beautiful. And I watched this movie and I thought, okay, here's the same spirit of graffiti, but people are doing it differently. I would watch people like Invader with his mosaics. Whoa, that's amazing. Haven't seen that before, but he's on the streets doing it. I'd see Shepherd Ferry and Obey, and I'd see Wheat Paste. And I know the street guys are going to clown. I understand it. I've dealt with it my whole life. But all of a sudden, Wheat Paste, really cool idea. Now you can share your idea, but you don't have to worry about the time and the effort. You don't need to rack cans. You design it beforehand, print it, paint it, bring it with you. You're out in 2 minutes. It's perfect. So now I fell in love with wheat pasting and with stenciling and just that whole lifestyle. So now I tried to bring that back into what I consider to be the graph life. But by now, a lot of the OG guys realized that I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was a toy, so they moved on. And a lot of my buddies were just at that age, early 20s, where it's like, what are we doing? So I was kind of alone in this, but I still had the bug. So now I'm going out, and now I'm doing wheat paste. And I had no characters. I just would take, actually, I remember vividly, I didn't have any characters, but I wanted to do something. And I was trying wheat paste recipes. And we were, I think, at the Packard or one of the abandoned places downtown. Again, it was legal, so I had a permit. Don't worry about it. But we were down there, and I remember I just wanted a wheat paste, and I had stacks of Playboy that we had found downtown. And so I thought, what would be really cool is I'm going to practice my wheat pasting, but I'm going to give all these homeless guys, kind of a crazy, funky spot in the middle of this abandoned building. So for a couple of weeks, I would go in with a Playboy, rip pages out, and take like a half wall or a pillar. And I would just wheat paste a collage of explicit images just for the hell of it. And again, it didn't mean anything. It had no purpose, and it was so lame, but it was just fun. I was addicted to that feeling of going out, getting the adrenaline rush, and then being able to, the next day, have somebody see something, and you get to smile and go, yeah, I did that. That's mine. I mean, it was like a superhero. I mean, I was the closest thing I'd ever felt to a real-life Clark Kent. Here's this amazing thing that I'm doing that nobody has any idea about. And so that's where my love for the street art and graffiti really was solidified. But from some of those lifestyle choices, things started to get a little crazy. Obviously, I was putting all my money into art, and so now I'm broke. Now I'm a burden on roommates and landlords. So now I've got evictions. Now friendships are being strained because of money. So tail between my legs again, I got to move back home. So now at this time, it's 2012, and living back at my parents' house. No college education, love of street art and graffiti, but no real means or way out. Again, nobody I know is doing anything in the art world, so just felt like, okay, let's go back to basics. So now it's 2012. Coming back from downtown, living at my parents' house, not really sure what the hell I'm supposed to do. I still feel like I want to be an artist, but I have no idea how. Right at that time, I meet my ex, CT, and it's amazing. And, she understands that I'm creative and I'm an artist, and she's one of the most supportive, amazing women I've ever had the chance to meet. You'll understand how I screw that up later on, but for now, just first couple of years, nothing but fun and friends. All of a sudden, about 2013, I start to get a little antsy again. I feel the creation, I feel the bug, I want to do something. Now it's 2013. At that time, awesome girlfriend, but still I don't want to live the domestic life. I still have this innate feeling to be an artist, but I don't know how I want to achieve it. I'm still bouncing around random jobs. I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to do something. So I make the jump again, and I decide to start my own clothing line. I don't know anything about clothes. I don't know anything about business, but I just love the idea. I ended up calling it OneSmile Apparel. And the idea was simple. I was trying to create a way of thought represented through clothing. The idea that no matter what you're going through in life, all you have to do is try and smile, and you have no idea how many people might be impacted by that kindness. Now, it's obviously just me trying to combat these thoughts I was having, the self-doubt. I was angry at myself for screwing up Michigan State and then the downtown years. So I just wanted something. So finally, get some ideas, I get some drawings, and I start. And I go, okay, I need a studio. Where's a cool studio? Where's somewhere fun? And it was the Russell. 2013 Russell was a real crazy place. And I was able to get a room. So now I've got a studio in the Russell, a highly respected artistic hangout. And every day now, I'm seeing artists, I'm living the life, I'm doing it. I thought, okay, I'm starting a clothing company. This is going to be so easy. It's just t-shirts, right? Sell some t-shirts. nothing to it. However, instead of focusing on business and advertising, I focused on my studio. I thought, again, this is an artist studio. This is my first one. I should take pride in it. Let's make it really cool. Let's make it like nobody's ever seen before. And that's what I did. I painted the whole thing. I made custom counters. I made a whole backdrop. I took an entire stone wall and painted it, I think, checkerboard blue. Why? Who knows? But I spent months just getting the place started. Wasn't making t-shirts, wasn't really focused on anything else, so obviously that started to become a pretty big financial sink. But people were starting to be receptive. All of a sudden now I'm able to have friends and family and they're wearing my t-shirts. It's a simple little design with one little smile guy, but again, it brought back up those feelings of, whoa, all of a sudden this is something that I just thought up and now I'm looking at it in reality. This is really cool. So it's just continued to scratch that itch of me wanting to be a creator. Now I own a clothing company, not selling any clothes, and I'm really starting to get in debt with the Russell. What am I going to do now? Well, what do I always do? I break and run. I got to get the hell out of here. So 2013, 2014, I just started getting real antsy. I started thinking, okay, maybe the problem is funding. Maybe I just, I got to get around some money. I got to do some stuff. So at that time, I had an old friend was in Kalamazoo, and I thought, okay, cool. I had talked to some people out there, and I thought, maybe I could, work with somebody, and maybe, they'll give me some money, and I can, have co-investors, and, again, how hard it is. I just need somebody to give me some money. Once again, very naive. I didn't know, so girlfriend out of nowhere just goes, oh, okay, and I pack up everything, and I moved to Kalamazoo, and it wasn't good. It was wrong place, wrong time. I didn't know what I was doing, so now I'm away from home, just as broke, just as confused, and just wandering through life. So that also ended some relationships. It caused a lot of stress. So not even 6 to 9 months later, after, again, me screwing up, got desperate, did some things I'm not proud of, now I'm coming back home again. Another episode of my tail between my legs. Got a couple little snippets of, again, creation and, those feelings I'm chasing. But like any drug addict, I just wanted that other fix. I was so fixated on the creation art, I didn't care about anything else, including friends, family, ex-loved ones. It started to really take a toll. I didn't know what to do. So because I didn't know what to do, I ran. I always run. It's the easiest thing to do. Why worry about your problems when you can just go, see ya, goodbye. So now 2016, I've got Wanderlust. In a relationship, should be focusing on that, but I can't work. Every time I get a job, I'll spend 4 to 5 months, and then I just get this, superiority complex that I'm supposed to be an artist. I'm going against my own soul right now. I'm supposed to be great. I don't need to be doing all this. So every job, every opportunity, I'd be burning those bridges and, just continuously disappointing people. And that began pretty much the same pattern of every time I'd go, okay, this is it. I need to settle down. I need stability. Let's just do the right thing. And there's always a voice in the back of my head that just says, no, you need something else. Trust me, you're meant for something else. And you go, okay, cool. That's beautiful. Maybe I am. But how long do you listen to that voice before you think, is that voice wrong? Am I insane? And now I'm just a delusional, narcissistic, insane person? Because that sucks. But again, I didn't know. So I'm traveling around. And I just, everywhere I can get, myself is where I went. So now I do some backpacking, wanderlust, but that still doesn't cure anything. I'm still miserable, but now I'm just miserable in nice sunny places. And I had to learn, oh yeah, the call's coming from inside the house the whole time. It's me. Who'd have thunk? So go back home. And I know I'm saying so a lot, but get used to it. Again, I'm still figuring out how to do this. But I just knew that, okay, I do have the knack for the trades. So why don't I try to use this creative side, but as a side job or a means for income? And I had a really good set of clients in the beginning, and they allowed me to just give it a shot. With pretty much a ladder, a bucket, a couple rollers, I was able to start painting houses. And I was the epitome of just the guy who's got no idea what he's doing, showing up disheveled and late. I didn't know how to manage clients or book or, again, market. But I just knew that I could get a couple bucks and I could still feel like I'm being creative while still making money and not dying and being homeless. So that's what I did. Painting gigs that developed into more painting gigs. And I thought, okay, well, I still do have something here. What if I can create something that allows me to paint and take side jobs like a normal contractor, but that could also be an umbrella for something larger? If I could just combine the trades and my art, I might have something sustainable for once. So that's what I did. Another project. Let's try it again. And that was the birth of Renegade Creations. But at that time, it was nothing more than some side jobs, some painting jobs. But it was something. And so one client led to two clients. The more I told people, yeah, I'm actually a visual artist, I just kind of do this on the side, they'd go, oh, wow, okay. And I would start to get opportunities. And those opportunities were not good. I saw some of my old commissions. I'll put some of them up here, but it was a start. I was on my way to at least starting to become an artist. I was on my way to at least starting my art journey. And that's all I cared about. Now it's 2018. I've got Renegade Creations, I'm taking in side jobs, and things are starting to grow. I'm getting exterior jobs. I'm able to hire one of my buddies, and now we're working together. This is awesome. This is a life I could see. So the floodgates open up again. And now every day is like, hey, I'm really destined for something here. This is going to be awesome. I just got to follow the path. So that's what I would do. Every single client, I would just constantly market myself and hustle. I would just take that scrappy little rebel and try to just lean it into the art world. And we had our first break. 2018, my father had his first art show. I want to say Troy, I'll post it here, the photo, but he was so excited, and I got to help him kind of curate and design and kind of help him, okay, this is our first, we need booths, we need tents. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. So we started everything else ground up, DIY. And we get there, and I was very proud of the booth. And we didn't sell anything, but it was good exposure, and it was another level towards, okay, we are onto something here. Art fairs. Well, I can't get into exhibits yet. Nobody knows who I am. But I can do an art fair. A lot are free. If not, it's 20 to 50 bucks. Let's do that. 2019, 2020, that's what I did. Finally got the courage. I go, okay, I do need to make things official. I need to take Renegade Creations, and I should incorporate. So using a lot of help, I figured that process out. And I incorporated Renegade Creations in January of 2020. And I couldn't be happier. Another feeling of, this is it. This is my calling. It took all that, and I'm here. I finally have my company. I'm going to pursue art. The next year is going to be amazing. And you guys remember 2020, don't you? Seems like years ago, but that happened. And now I'm sitting there, everything I finally thought I wanted, and the world said, nah, you're going to go ahead and sit down. In the bigger picture, I can't be mad. I'm just a dumb little artist. There's much bigger things to worry about in those years. But what the heck, man? I'm supposed to do things. Now I can't even go outside. It just felt like an entire knee chop to everything I was going. And that really screwed with me mentally. And you'll see why. I just was so distraught thinking, okay, now the world's ending and I still haven't done what I want to do. I haven't done what I think I could be really good at. So I made the decision again to jump. But this time it was more of a meat cleaver, if I'm being honest. And long story short, I just thought the only way I can do what I need to do is to leave. I thought, okay, well, clearly all of my relationships over those years are, being affected. I'm the burden. I was the problem. And even just day to day, I was just a shell of the person that I, once was because I wasn't living towards my purpose or my goal. And so in some stupid, selfish, cowardice act of, call it self-savior or, I don't even know. I mean, there's really no words for it, but just I left. And it was for a woman who was really good to me and many good years. I really screwed up. But I tried to justify it as, well, I'm doing the right thing and, I can't bring anybody down. But that was just an excuse. It was just, I was scared. And obviously, nothing I can do about that. You make decisions and you move on. But it sucks, and I'm obviously well aware of it. CT, if you're watching, obviously from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I still think we had some fun, though. But that's not the point. So now it's 2020, I've got a company, the world's shut down, now I'm single, and I'm living in a studio that I had leveraged pretty much everything to get. Took out a bunch of loans, and now I'm just sitting here. This same studio we're in right now, but very barren and a couple years ago, where between 2020 to now, it was rough, but it was also the most necessary thing I've ever had to do. And it got dark. And for a lot of you out there, again, I don't want to get weird, but I know a lot of you out there that might watch this, you've been through your own ups and downs. And, the human brain can be an enemy, especially if left alone for long enough. But I thought, I'm an only child. I'm the renegade, baby. You can't bother me. I'm fine alone. Yeah, until you realize that it's been about 4 days and you haven't said one word out loud. That gets rough. But you got to persevere. You focus on what makes you happy. And for me, it was the art. So that's what I did. My artwork, not that great, but I had to make it. I just kept making it. At that time, 2020, I'm starting with a lot of, again, dancers. I was inspired by just the movement and the choreography growing up. So I would take Instagram dancers, famous dancers. I'd find images that I could then replicate or change. And I would use that as my compositional, inspiration. And I wasn't really good at acrylic paints, couldn't oil paint, but I wanted to be an artist. So I had to develop something that was my style. Well, blue collar background. I was always around things like plaster and bricks and raw elements. Why don't I use those? So I tried, and it was weird, but it worked. I found myself standing next to acrylic artists and oil artists, and they're amazing. I can't do that, and that's why I started doing this, is I didn't want to compete. I couldn't be your realism oil painter. There are too many people out there. Some of you watching this right now have skills that I can't even fathom. So I didn't want to be another okay acrylic or oil painter and have to compete with you. But I wanted to be in the same space. So I thought, let's take natural raw elements, let's take glass and plaster, and let's combine them in the same structure I would a stencil. And let's layer and let's start to see, okay, what can we do? And then I grew fascinated with the texture and the way the light shines off the stuff and the way it shimmers. And that just unlocked some childhood stuff of being obsessed with sparkles or whatever. But there was something deep in me that the minute you acknowledge it, it starts to come up. And that's what it was doing. The more I would create, the more I'd be inspired to create, the more other people would, hype me up. And so that's all I needed. All of that led to me getting the inspiration for one of my favorite and probably biggest breaks yet. So there was an open call for one of my favorite comedy podcasts, and they were asking for fan art. And I had this idea in the middle of the night. Let's take the logo and let's do it with glass and let's put epoxy resin so it's shiny and let's build it up. And first piece that I can remember seeing every step of the way vividly in my head every day until I started to create it. And that's what I did. I created it, and I'm going to put it right here because this is, again, one of my favorite pieces, and you'll find out in 2 seconds what it led to. I create this, and I send it off. No idea, but I just know it had to get to the studio for this contest. I wait, weeks pass, I don't hear anything. Finally, I'm watching it live one day, and he pulls it up. And first off, I was a little... So the act of watching something that I just created in this basement then be brought on from left to right on my TV was one of the biggest mind Fs I've had ever. It was like he pulled it from my living room. It really tripped me out. But Louis J. Gomez ended up being so grateful for that gift that live on the air on his show, he announced that I had won tickets to his comedy festival called Skankfest.
This guy gave me a cool piece here.
Oh, that is
this
amazing.
is a cool fucking piece here.
Yeah.
God damn it, Jay Jaster, you just won yourself a pair of Skankfest tickets.
Yeah! There we go.
And I lost my mind. I said, oh my God, I'm going to, at that time, Vegas. This is my chance to get around just the comedy crowd and some sort of art crowd. So that's what I did. I poured everything into that. Cut to, now I'm in Vegas. And it's 2022, and I couldn't be happier. Once again, barely any money, so that really never changes. But I'm doing something, and I have a pocket full of stickers, and I'm there to watch comedy and network, and that's just what I did. I posted them everywhere. I was so annoying with it, but I just wanted everybody to know my name and know if this is one opportunity that you're going to give me, I'm not going to squander it. Come home from that, and I'm feeling the high of creation. So I applied to my local St. Clair Shores art show. And I said, okay, Dad, we learned the lessons the first time. Let's try it again. But this time, we each have a booth. So we did a setup where I had a booth and he had a booth, and we each put up everything we had, and it was fun. It was a learning curve, but something happened that day. I met Debbie. Debbie was a woman, came over to my booth, and just started asking me questions. And then she mentions, have you heard about this thing called Breakfast Club? And I said, what's Breakfast Club? And she goes, well, it's a gathering of artists, collectors, and people in the Detroit art scene. They meet once a week. It's pretty exclusive. You should check it out. It's kind of invite only. So didn't think anything of it. Go, awesome. That day, end of the fair, I find out I won honorable mention. So no money, but that's not the point. People liked my artwork and they cared about it, and they liked my booth, and they thought it was cool enough to at least give this first timer an honorable mention. So I thought, okay, there's got to be a similarity here. There's got to be a reason. I'm listening to my gut, I'm listening to the universe, and these things keep happening. And every door I would watch open, if I had the bravery to walk through it, it always led to something amazing. So that's what I just started doing. Literally, it was Jim Carrey in Yes Man. Everything I would find out about, every art event I could physically make it to, or that my old little truck would let me, I would attend. And it was happening. I just started to finally feel a little bit authentic, and that's all I'd ever wanted. So now I'm with Breakfast Club. Every week you show up, you bring 2 pieces of artwork, and you explain it, you show it, and the crowd gets bigger and bigger. Suddenly we have PBS, and now there's TV networks, and now there's serious collectors. There's out-of-state artists and collectors all kind of going, okay, we like what you're doing here. We like this creativity. Keep it up. And out of nowhere, I get pulled by Miss Whitaker. And shout out Miss Whitaker, you know who you are. She tells me that there is a show coming up, and it's called the Emerging Artist Show, and it's hosted by Michigan State University. And they want me to create art for them. And I mean, talk about vindication. From the years of 2009, I just felt like I'd let myself down, that I had this great opportunity to go to a school, get an education, and I didn't. And I watched life go by, and I felt, okay, that was kind of one of the left turns that really just put me on a path I didn't like for many years. And now they're coming back to me and saying, hey, Jay, we really like your stuff. We'd love to have your artwork in our halls. I mean, again, speechless. And I said, okay, why did this happen? Because I trusted my gut, because I just kept doing what I knew I could do. That's what I did. So the show goes off, great success, and that leads to more shows. And then for the rest of that year, now I just realized that it's, 2023 is coming up. This is the year I have to make everything that I want to happen. A lot of stress. Obviously, I realize that's taking a toll on me. Look at the grays in my beard. But again, it's passion. I think that truly fuels everything you can do in this life. So 2023, I hit it with everything I've got. I started creating some of the coolest art, trying to do new, interesting stuff, trying to take what was working and elaborate on it. What wasn't working, figure out why. Was it other people or was it just me? And kind of correct a lot of both mental and habitual things that I was doing. And also started to get a little braver. Started to realize that nobody was going to just give me this career that I wanted. If I was going to make it happen, I had to work for it. I had to hustle. I just had to make it happen. So I did. It's all about following the doors. Suddenly, one day, my father comes home and says, I met this woman at this park. Her name's Jennifer. Shout out, Jen. And she heard that one of the local business owners is wanting a mural. She doesn't want to do it, but she said if you know of some artists, they should probably go there and talk to them. So I said, okay, but like a lot of things with my father, he tells me something amazing and I go, okay, cool. And then I ignore him. I don't listen. And then weeks go by and he goes, hey, have you done anything with that mural? So I said, I guess I probably should. So I walk in and I meet the owner and I go, sir, I hear you're interested in having a mural done. I'm an artist. I'd like to do your mural. And he goes, have you done it before? And I said, of course, I can do this. No problem. But he trusted me, probably saw in my face that, I didn't know what I was doing, but I'd figure it out, and he gave me the opportunity. And now here I am. I get to prep, design, and create a mural in my hometown of St. Clair Shores. That felt pretty cool. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I could get it done. And it was in a style I had never done before. I didn't normally do cartoons and fun stuff like that, but we went back and forth and we found a great design and he trusted me. And I think I delivered. So check it out. After the mural, I was back on cloud nine. I thought, now I've got a couple shows. Michigan State vindicated me. Now here's my hometown. I'm making a mural. I guess, this is just finally where I needed to be. So I kept that going. I had more stickers. I was posting everywhere. My goal was like a rabid dog, just wanted to mark my territory. It was a way to still get those feelings of graffiti or street art with something that was easy. Nobody really cares about stickers. You still feel like a rebel, but I know I'm not. I know I'd never actually say I'm a graffiti artist, and I'd never say I'm a street artist because the graffiti artists fight the street artist, but that's how it goes. But again, it was the purity of it. I just wanted to post cool stuff and, stick my middle finger towards, authority. And in the process was able to create art that people continued to be very interested in. So I felt blessed. Now it's 2024 and I'm trying to ride this wave. And I realized, okay, I want to meet more artists and it's all about trust in the universe. So one night I'm sitting at home and I see an ad on Instagram for a local art group and they're meeting at Bumbo's, nice little bar down in Hamtramck. And I thought, I've got tonight free. It's one of those times where I think there's a reason, just the algorithm put this in my face. You should follow up. So I did. And I remember going there and I'm scared and I don't know anybody. I walk in and shout out Jen. She's sitting at the bar and we start up a conversation and all of a sudden more people. And now it's just the interesting conversations are going and coming to find out that was the Tentative Collective. It was a group started by Kayla and Evan. Shout out you guys. And their whole goal was very similar to what I was experiencing. They wanted a network or a group of artists that could share resources, that realized that we didn't have to do this all alone. So now I'm doing art and I feel fulfilled. And now there's like this weird group. It was just nice to be around fellow creatives and people that all of us kind of at the same time trying to figure out and, start something for ourselves. So now here's this collective where we've got access to shows. We see exhibits. We see all this information coming through. And now it just saved us all years of trial and error because of Kayla and Evan. So once again, thank you guys. But that led to a show. That show was at Vominos. So now here's this little tiny gallery down in Southwest Detroit, and they're hosting our show. And it's beautiful. It's funky and it's creative. And I'm looking around and I go, this would be a pretty cool spot for my show. And I start to think and I go, I do have a lot of artwork from these past 5-6 years. I could probably put together a solo show. Why not? So I did. So the show happens. I was proud of it. I think it went off without a hitch. I was proud of the curation. I liked how the place looked. The owners were amazing. And I had some family and friends that showed up. And so thank you. But other than that, I didn't feel satisfied. I had this idea that after the show, everything would change. I would just become a professional artist. Wow, wouldn't that be amazing? But that didn't happen. I'm sitting there that night and the show's now over and I'm still in the same studio. I still have the same amount of money and I'm still the same quote unquote unknown artist. Why did anything change? Because that's not how it works. I had this idea that it would just all evolve. It would all unfold with one night. Every time things got hard in the past, every time I owed money or I was broke, I didn't care because it was like, hey, I just got to get to this one thing. This was my debut album. This was my grand show for the world. If I could show people that, but it doesn't work like that. I was naive. But it was another lesson I needed to learn. So like every lesson, you kind of lick your wounds and you go, okay, let's do things different. So now it's August, okay? All right, get this off my chest. I feel good. I want to make some new stuff happen. Let's make some new artwork. Let's just kind of clear the air and get back to work, right? Well, one day, go out for a quick bike ride and threw myself into a wall. 10 broken bones later, and now I'm sitting in the hospital and I have a whole new set of problems. I don't know if I'm going to ever be able to create again. This life that all I wanted, this life that I sacrificed everything for, this life that I had risked everything for, is now just, that scared me. Obviously you could see I healed, but it wasn't easy. But it was a lesson that if I really want this, if this art life is truly what I need in my life, then you've got to make sacrifices. I'll leave you with one last thing. For those of you out there, thank you for taking the time to watch this. This is something I'm really proud of and I think could be very beneficial to a lot of people. I think a lot of us out there all deal with some of the same experiences and struggles that I just explained. And I think if we got together and talked about it more, life would be a little bit easier. My name is Jay Jaster, and this has been episode 1 of Renegade Talks. Are you ready for the reveal? Not too bad, right? It's me and my mother. I was told I have her eyes. Good night.